All right, I want to give y'all a quick update on what's going on in the Senate right now with the COVID relief bill. They're having what they call a vote-a-rama, which basically means that, through reconciliation, there's a certain amount of time allotted for debate on the Senate floor. So usually, a bunch of amendments are proposed and most of them are rejected. Some of them, do get voted on. Some of them get passed. So here's basically what's going on. I do want to remind everyone where these negotiations started, right? The Democrats have complete control. The Democratic Party has complete control of every branch of government. And here is where the negotiations started, or at least where the Democratic platform started just a few months ago. And Jack Califano on Twitter reminds us here that so in like 1 month, Democrats went from $50,000 of student debt cancellation, $2,000 checks, which they were promising in Georgia, and a $15 minimum wage. We've played the Joe Biden montage on this show. They were saying that for the whole primary and in the general, $15 minimum wage, $15 minimum wage. All that went to $10,000 student debt cancellation, maybe, and it's probably going to have to go through Congress, even though Joe Biden has the authority to cancel that himself. Anywhere from $0 to $1,400 checks. So, they're means tested. A good amount of people, will get the full 1,400. But it used to be people between 75 and 100,000 will get some type of prorated from $1,400 all the way up to, if you make $100,000, you get zero. Now it went from that to 75,000 to 80,000. So not only is anyone from 80,000 to 100,000 completely missing out on that, but the number that anyone from 75,000 to 80,000 was making before is now going to be significantly less because that drop off is much steeper. So that's where the Democrats have negotiated with themselves, because this reconciliation only needs Democratic votes plus Kamala Harris to pass it. That's where they've gone in this negotiating with themselves. Now I want you to think, would the Republicans ever have negotiated themselves down to this much of a watered down bill with no Democratic input? Of course not. Of course not. They'd put whatever they want in the bill. Deficit, doesn't matter. They say, you know what, we'll do a $2 trillion tax cut through reconciliation like they did, which overwhelmingly went to the 1% and the wealthy, and they didn't think twice about it. They weren't negotiating with the more moderates in their party to actually give working people a better tax cut that didn't actually end up being an increased tax 4 or 5 years down the road. They didn't do that. But the Democrats will negotiate with someone who's basically a Republican like Joe Manchin. And instead of putting a bill in front of him with the $15 minimum wage in it and $2,000 checks in it and saying, do you want to go back to your constituents and tell them why you voted against $2,000 checks for them and a minimum wage in one of the poorest states in the union? Do you want to go back and tell them that? Because I'm the president and I just got elected and our whole party is voting for this bill. So you better either get right or you're going to 100% not be reelected. They didn't do that. Joe Biden went to Joe Manchin and said, what do you want, Joe Manchin? Oh, you want this cut? Boom, it's cut. Oh, you want this out? Okay, it's out. It's just unbelievable. So here's some updates on what's going on. Jeff Stein, he's a Washington Post reporter. Probably the only real reason I still pay attention to the Washington Post, considering how much negative coverage they give people like Bernie Sanders and people just trying to get health care to normal people. But Jeff Stein is a good reporter, and I like to follow him for updates on stuff like this. So first off, he says update: Democratic Senator Tom Carper from Delaware will propose cutting the unemployment benefit in Biden's bill from $400 per week to $300 per week, but extending it through September rather than August, and including tax forgiveness of $10,000 in unemployment benefits could see many Democrats backing. So I've seen mixed reviews on this. I've seen people, obviously the tax forgiveness is huge. A lot of people don't know, and if you don't know, this is the case, that unemployment insurance you've been receiving is taxable. So that's taxable income. So I know a lot of people have been spending that, not thinking it's going to get taxed because, of course, we're in a pandemic. Why are you taxing the only relief you're giving to me? But that's our country. But it is, decreasing that by $400 per month, but it is extending an extra month. So I've seen mixed reviews on that part. Another thing Jeff Stein says here is, first off, here's an amendment that Mitt Romney. Now, remember Mitt Romney? They put up Mitt Romney as this, beacon of light in the Republican Party because he hated Trump and Trump hated him, and he was willing to speak up against Donald Trump. Well, in the middle of a pandemic, with this relief bill being the only lifeline that a lot of people are waiting on to actually save them from eviction, from going hungry, all these things, this is what Mitt Romney, the liberal hero, or I guess the hero to resistance liberals on the Republican side. Here's the amendment he proposed. Inbox. Romney to propose amendment to school aid portion of relief bill that would, among other things, prevent funding from going to U.S. school districts that partner with Chinese Communist Party-backed entities. You're telling me, Joe, this is the best in the Republican Party, the liberals will say. And you're telling me Joe Biden spent 3 weeks trying to get to 60 votes on this bill with Republicans like this? This is the amendment he wants to put in the bill. I mean, this is just a massive waste of time. I mean, just unbelievable. So furthermore, here, Bernie was trying to force a vote. He vowed to force a vote on this minimum wage. So because Kamala and Joe Biden didn't push for the minimum wage and didn't overrule the parliamentarian and get the minimum wage in the bill to just vote on the bill with the minimum wage in it, now Bernie has to circumvent that, go around that, and try and get an amendment proposed to get this minimum wage back in the. And this is just, I believe this is just a motion to actually have a vote. And here are the 8 Democrats who voted against just the motion to have a vote, not even voted it down, the motion to even have the vote on the Senate floor. It was defeated 58-42. These are the Senate Democrats in the caucus that voted against the minimum wage to maintain poverty wages. Joe Manchin, Kirsten Sinema, I think it's Rob Coons, Carper, Tester, Shaheen, Hassan, and King. So if you're working for poverty wages and that is your representative, you need to let them know that they will not be receiving your vote in 2 to 4 years because they think it's better for corporations or businesses to be able to pay you poverty wages to work for them and make them money, but you go home and have to get subsidized by the federal government, which is paid for by your own tax dollars. They want to make sure that is still the case. They don't even want you making $30,000 a year. That's too much for them. That's too much for you to make to them. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, the disdain they have for working people. Just crazy. So there's a lot more that's going to be going on. Jeff Stein says there's a lot going on right now, but upshot is that unemployment benefits in the Biden bill are at risk of being significantly pared back sometimes in the next several hours. So they've already agreed to pare it back from 400 to 300. Now it might get pared back even more because people like Joe Manchin and the Republicans are trying to get Joe Manchin on their side. And the Democrats are, I don't even know, Biden. I mean, there was reports out that Biden didn't even threaten Joe Manchin with anything. So I don't even know if they're trying to get Joe Manchin back on their side. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what goes on. And Jeff Stein also poses this question, which I think is a great question. A question that I'm posing as well. One question to watch is what Sanders and the Congressional Progressive Caucus in the House would do in response if Senate GOP and 1 or 2 centrist Dems cut unemployment to July. What are y'all going to do? Are you still going to vote for the benefit? Are you still going to vote for that package? So if they've means tested it further, if they've cut unemployment benefits more, if they've moved unemployment benefits from August originally, thought of to September, maybe back to July, are y'all still going to vote for that? And I love these responses. Nothing, but I don't think they will. Their deal's already hammered out on that. Tyler Atwood says, they better withhold their vote. This is getting out of hand. Centrism is simply conservatism. We must realize that. When you have an Overton window that we have, like we have in this country, yes, centrism is conservatism. Guess what? The reason why on that is because when you go to another country, even the conservatives won't dare touching the universal healthcare system that they have in that country. But we have people that are supposed to be liberals in our country that are telling you that you like your private health insurance that price gouges you, denies you care, steals your money, and doesn't even provide the service that they were getting that money for. You still like that, and you don't want universal health care like the rest of the world. You don't want Medicare for all like the rest of the world has. What are y'all going to do when they keep screwing you over? What are you going to do? Are you going to stand up? Are you going to actually vote as a block, withhold your vote? Use the bully pulpit of, I don't know, most of America actually wanting this bill to pass without means testing and without all these hurdles they have to jump over just to get relief? We'll see.